So, what is a panic attack? A panic attack is a sudden episode of intense fear or anxiety that triggers severe physical reactions when there is no real danger or apparent cause. Panic attacks can be very frightening and overwhelming. They're often mistaken for heart attacks or other life threatening conditions due to the intensity of symptoms. So, here are some of the key characteristics of a panic attack: intense fear, mind racing, worst case scenario, hypervigilance, all symptoms of a sympathetic activation of your nervous system, rapid heartbeat or palpitations, an uncomfortable sensation of the heart racing, sweating and trembling, often accompanied by a feeling of being out of control, rapid breathing, hyperventilation, which can lead to shortness of breath, tightness in the throat. What happens is when we're breathing rapidly, our carbon dioxide levels drop down. And when carbon dioxide levels drop down, we're actually less able to absorb oxygen. This makes it feel like, when you feel like you can't get that breath in, or that it doesn't matter how much you're breathing, it feels like you're not, getting what you need. This is the reason why. You can also get chest pain or discomfort, sometimes mistaken for a heart attack. I've actually been in A&E thinking I was dying, having a heart attack with just a panic attack before. Nausea or abdominal distress, a feeling of uneasiness in the stomach, dizziness or lightheadedness, a sense of unsteadiness or faintness, chills or heat sensation, sudden waves of cold or heat, numbness or tingling sensations, often felt in the fingers or toes, feeling detached from reality, which is called derealization, or feeling detached from oneself, depersonalization, a sense of being outside of one's body or being disconnected from reality. This can be quite a, overwhelming sensation if you've never experienced this before. Disassociation, feeling numb, spaced out, or disconnected, fear of losing control or going crazy, a common fear during a panic attack, and a fear of dying. Due to the intensity of the symptoms, many people feel like they might die during a panic attack. Now, a panic attack is a sudden manifestation of suppressed survival energy, which is trauma, coming up to the surface and pushing your body back into a fight, flight, survival mode. So let's understand the fight, flight response a little bit better. A panic attack, like anxiety, is a symptom of your body activating the sympathetic nervous system, what I call sometimes the yellow zone. This is also known as the fight-flight response, a survival mode where your body is mobilizing energy to either move towards the fight response or away from the flight response from the perceived threat, whether it's an actual genuine threat or not. This is why you may experience increased breathing, rapid heart rate, sweating, trembling, nausea, hypervigilance, etc., as your body releases adrenaline cortisol to fuel the fight-flight response and to deal with the perceived threat. Now, because there is no obvious threat to confront or run away from, there is a less chance of completion of the survival mode response and achieving safety. So, for example, if I was walking down the road and I see a crazy man pull out a knife, it would trigger my fight or flight response. But because the threat would be very obvious, it'd be very easy for me to recognize that, run away to safety, and then the survival response has completed the mission and discharged the adrenaline and energy. Whereas when you experience panic attacks with no obvious threat, there is a little chance of a natural completion of the survival response by reaching safely. When no safety is achieved, it can drive the body deeper into the survival responses, which means more intense symptoms. If the fight, flight, yellow zone response is unsuccessful, the body's last line of defense is going into a red zone freeze response. This freeze response aims to protect you by disconnecting from your body and situation. However, it does this by containing the survival energy and suppressing it in the body, again with no completion of survival response or achieving safety and release of the energy. The goal of the freeze mode is to basically play dead, wait for the threat to pass, move out of the red zone, back into yellow, dispel the survival energy, and then back home to the green zone. Now I'm going to dive deep into these zones in the core principles course if you haven't already gone through that. Now I'll explain these different green, yellow, red zone, survival zone, and nervous system states. Now, the panic attack cycle. The problem with panic attacks is that for most people, the actual experience, the physical symptoms of panic attacks are seen as unsafe or as a threat, which then leads to the panic attack which then feeds the panic attack even more, as the body's attempting the impossible task of trying to fight and flee from yourself. So what may start as noticing symptoms of low anxiety quickly drives up the anxiety response until it reaches panic status and possibly reaching the point of overwhelm, pushing the body into freeze mode. When safety isn't reached and survival responses and the survival response doesn't complete, the survival energy is merely suppressed and contained in the body. This is essentially what trauma is. This then leads to fear and anxiety about future panic attacks, the anxiety about anxiety, which is what many clients of mine experience. Without a sufficient understanding of panic attacks or an ability to create enough safety in your body to surrender into the experience for the energy to be released and complete this fire response, it is likely you will do your best to resist or avoid panic attacks. And when they do occur, it just reinforces the pattern. This keeps you stuck in a perpetual cycle of panic attack, fear of panic attack, and so on. One panic attack alone can be exhausting, but being stuck in survival mode and a panic attack cycle is even more draining. But the good news is that there is a way out, and I'm going to teach you how.